court clerk. You will look at that in your June meeting and approve that. What I have for you is the beginnings of the planning for moving forward. Pass them down. So we've been working on a little brainstorming list here in this office for a while. It was if it passes, these are the things we have to do. If it doesn't pass, these are the things we have to do. And so on that list that you see on the left-hand side are the tasks, and then any notes that thoughts that we've already had, things that we need to think about. I'll give you a little example. Logo letterhead, it's about the 6th one down. It'd be really cool to have some kids design that and have a little contest and have them do that. But then I have to put a little note in here, I did already, making sure that students don't use clip art, because clip art is copyright protected. And so we'll have to be careful that we don't get ourselves into a sticky wicket there, but I think that would be a really meaningful thing for kids to do. So I've been trying to brainstorm and add things to that through the list. And then at the very right side, you see projected completion date, when we need to get that done. The number one thing that we need to do right now is a trustee appointment. We don't do that. The Idaho Board of Education does that. Deep breath, sigh. I wish that they only had me to worry about in Boise, but apparently they have some other things to worry about. So I was given some directions. The directions was simple application and then a resume, and that they would submit that to the clerk. The clerk then would submit that to the Board of Education. And then on Thursday of last week, I got, let's add some questions to the application. So they are going to make a final decision about that tomorrow. And the reason that the Board of Education wants to add some questions to the application instead of just name and address, physical address, is they want to know who you are so that they can make the best appointment possible. And my opinion is that they could do that from a resume, but they had some other questions that they wanted. So I'm hoping to get a final answer about that tomorrow. And then when and if they do change it. If they don't change it, we've got the application and the directions already on the website. I've sent it out to everyone, try to give it to everybody I can. If they do make a change, we'll make a big, it'll be on our social media. And just, hey, this changed, this is an additional step.
Maybe we can contact those people if they already turned in the application.
Yes, if somebody's already turned one in, we'll have Casey reach out to them and say, the state board has asked for some additional things. And so I truly appreciate the board, the state board, for the care that they want to put into finding the right people. But on the other hand, I want to make this, I don't want to keep somebody from putting their name forward to be a trustee. I don't want to do too many hoops to jump that somebody will go, that's not working. So we'll see, hopefully, tomorrow.
I'm sorry, in case I missed it. I heard earlier July 1st deadline. Is that still the case?
Right now, it may change by tomorrow. So the Board of Education will have a special meeting in July to make those decisions. And just like you get your board packets the week in advance, they will want it a week in advance too. So that's why the first part of July is the deadline for those.
First part of it.
Yeah, so the 4th of July runs into there, the holiday, and so right now it's July 2nd is the deadline, but that may be addressed tomorrow.
Cool.
So if you look through this list and you come up with things that you think need to be on there, please, all of your brains are needed in, what about this? What about this? Let's get it on there and get some dates going. And you'll see some things, I have some recommendations already for some dates. Things that we can do in the process. Typical summer work for a superintendent is to read through policy and find dates that need to be updated, names that need to be updated. I can do that ×2 this summer. Look for anything that has to happen for Mountain View, and as well as make notes for the new districts, Clearwater Valley and the new district, Grangeville. So there's some things that I can do really easily in the normal process. Forms, all of our forms that we have throughout the district. Now is the time that we're updating forms for the new school year. It'd be easy to just take those same forms and create the Clearwater Valley 245 and Grangeville 246 at the same time. And probably the one that's making me lay awake the most at night, and it's probably not the craziest one, the EIN numbers with stressing Carly, changing the numbering on the bus is what's scaring me. It's just a process I know nothing about, so we'll get it done.
Any comments?
We have a great woman, or a great company in Camei that does a lot of signs and vinyl for sides, and it's Backroad Graphics.
She's actually a Kuski.
Yeah, Kuski.
Oh, that's great to have a look at.
In the middle. I'll send you her number.
That'd be
Thanks,
awesome.
Debbie Cook.
I bet she could do it, no problem.
Any comments or questions from you guys? Discussion
Just so you can sleep.
about deconsolidation.
So we were kind of heard that applications would be available tonight, but you were saying that that's kind of stalled for the moment for the questions. When will those applications and where?
So there is an application that's available right
Okay.
now. It's on our website.
Okay.
And it gives you kind of the directions on one side, the application is the back. The back is simply your name, first and last, and your physical address, which trustee zone you believe you'd be in. And so those are available right now. If you want to print a copy, I can make one for you. If it changes, if the State Board of Education wants additional information, we should hear about that tomorrow. But again, I don't control them and they don't necessarily run on my timeline. So if they make any changes, I'll get that out as soon as I know.
Okay, and it'll be on the website.
And we put everything, we have this really cool technology guy here, and he just puts everything up. I say, Michael, this needs to go up, and he's amazing.
Okay, perfect, thank you.
Will we submit that to the state or to
You
this
submit to
office?
our board clerk, Tracy, which her address, her email address and her mailing address is on that form. And then she then submits them to the State Board of
And
Education.
what's the preferred way of that being submitted, mail or email?
It doesn't
Okay.
matter. It doesn't matter. They will let me know if it gets received, sure.
When you say that the deadline is July 1st, is that the deadline for people to submit them to you? Or is that the deadline for you to submit to the board?
July 2nd to her, July 3rd, she would verify the trustee zones with the map. There's, the link for the map is also on that same application. And so she would verify that that is the correct zone and mark correctly and then forward it to the State Board. Again, those dates and whether there's more questions on the application, the State Board of Education is in that discussion. And they told me today that they should have an answer tomorrow. I will.
Do we have a date for inventory then?
A date for
The
inventory. They
that
are supposed to be coming this summer,
Oh,
but not any dates
just like they were
yet.
in January,
Yes,
spring.
yes,
Yes.
yes.
Precisely.
We do have a contract now, so that does mean something's happening finally.
When would they appoint the new board?
At their July meeting, which they have, that July meeting would be set in their regular June meeting. It would be a special meeting, and they would set that special July meeting at their regular June meeting.
So when would those people be taking over?
July, depending on when that meeting is in July. Our July board meeting is late, it seems to me it's like the 19th of July. And so it's possible they'd have a meeting and make those appointments prior to the July meeting.
Will the Mountain View School District Board stay intact while the other two boards are appointed?
As soon as they appoint the new board, this board no longer it ceases to exist. And there's a new board, 10 for Mountain View, 5 for of that 10, 5 would represent Clearwater Valley and all Clearwater Valley decisions, and 5 would represent Grangeville and all Grangeville decisions. But if it's about a teacher for the fall of 2026, the 10 would vote, because it's a Mountain View decision.
Cool.
It's gonna be a really full room next year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A couple people asked a question I couldn't find an answer. Trivial stuff, but nonetheless, what's a quorum with 10 people? 7?
I have a list of questions, because
Okay.
there would be multiple quorums, because you'd have your quorum for your individual
Subcommittee.
boards.
Right.
Because I'm imagining that the agenda would be your consent agenda, all of that stuff, and then you'd have action items for for Mountain View, action items for Clearwater Valley, action items for Grangeville. So you'd have a quorum of 3 for all decisions Clearwater Valley, a quorum of 3 for all
Oh, wow.
decisions Grangeville. So if 3 of the Grangeville trustees were there, they could make decisions about Grangeville. If only 2 Clearwater Valley were there, they could make decisions for Clearwater Valley that night. So that's in a whole list of questions I sent the attorney, because,
Yeah, it's kind
So
of important.
and what's the super quorum for executive session, and how is that made up?
Right, yeah.
Yeah, the question of to what does the executive session apply? To, at what point do the decisions, should simply apply to Mountain View versus Clearwater? And Mountain View can decide one thing and Clearwater can decide the opposite.
Well, so when executive session, we'll post it like we have to now and identify the things. So each topic that's discussed in executive session, you'd have to look at it and decide, is this for the entire district current between the fall of 25 and the spring of 26? Then all 10 stay in there. If it's about a decision that goes to just Clearwater Valley, then just those 5 stay in the room and the other 5 leave.
Yeah.
And then you'd also have a chair for the Clearwater and a chair and a vice chair for Clearwater, a chair and a vice chair for the Grangeville, and a chair and a vice chair for the Mountain View. It's gonna be an interesting.
Wow.
I'm gonna tell you that might be the one thing that made me say yes to the 5 months.
Oh, just the entertainment?
I think that sounds, to me, that just sounds intriguing to try to figure that out.
It's pretty interesting, yeah.
It will all be recorded so that it'll be history for someone sometime.
Yes.
Yeah, I know what that whole truce is, maybe those are interesting times.
Okay.
Is that? Moving on. Approval of Marriages Healthcare Staffing Incorporated.
Okay, so Emeritus provides us with occupational therapists, speech and language, and some psych services. And this is typical, we've had these contracts for a number of years just because we don't have enough speech and language pathologists in the area or occupational therapists in the area. And so this is a new company, however, because we did go to an RFP and it's a much better price than in the past. And Shar McKinney did a lot of hard work on that.
Do I have a motion?
I move that we approve the Emeritus healthcare staffing contract as presented.
Second. Further discussion?
Couple of questions. I was just had to refind it. I think it's page 3, item 2.1. This goes right back to what we were just talking about. This agreement will commence on the effective date and will continue for a school year. Right up front, and it's not a criticism, it's just an observation. Right up front, this appears to be a boilerplate contract, which is fine. That's how these things work. Given the deconsolidation, what we just talked about, can we sign a contract for a full calendar year for next year?
It's a school calendar year, and we will be Mountain View, and you're currently Mountain View
Okay,
trustees,
we're not
and
gonna
we
run
will
any
be Mountain
problems
View
that
for
way.
1 year.
Okay, just
So,
wanna make sure everybody's.
the sign and the date of today allows the 5 of you the right to make that
Okay.
decision.
Okay, and is anybody aware whether there are any changes to this contract from the year before?
This is a new contract. It is the same services that we've
Right.
had before, but at a better rate. A new company.
A new provider.
A new provider.
I guess that's it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Approval of surplus items.
Okay, we have a supply of miscellaneous HVAC filters as they've changed out HVAC systems throughout the district. There are always leftover filters here and there. So we would like to have you declare them as miscellaneous so that we can try to recoup at least some of the expense.
We're gonna try and send them back.
We're trying to declare them surplus so we
Right.
can put them out to
So-
bid for other companies. We'll put them
Oh,
on a government
so,
auction.
okay.
You're reading my mind, great.
Yeah.
Mr. Chairman, I motion that we approve the surplus items listed on the agenda.
I'll second that motion.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Approval of policies. Series 2000, we do each on its own. Policy 2400.
So this is a new policy to us. These all did go through the policy committee last month, and then I failed to get them on the agenda, so we're cleaning up a miss, and we do have to have these for the special education audit. So 2400 is just the definition of special education and the fact that we labor under the special education manual from the federal government and where it can be found online.
Motion?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we adopt special education policy 2400.
Second?
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Policy 2410?
Okay, it's the Section 504 Rehabilitation Act of 1973, and it is, and like we have to labor under the special education manual, we labor under that, protecting students with disabilities.
I move that we accept the 2410 policy as presented.
Second that motion.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Moving on to 2410 P1.
So in special education, the federal government recognizes a whole division, and there are avenues for providing those services. In 504, they just say schools need to provide those services. And so this policy outlines the procedures for providing 504 services to students with disabilities in the district. Identification and services.
Again, these have all been through the policy.
These are, yes, thank you, Trustee Dunn, they've all been through the policy committee.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we adopt Section 504, policy 2410 P1.
Second that.
Second. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
And policy 2415.
2415 is the dyslexia. This is Idaho law that we have to have policy and provide those services for Tier 1 and Tier 2. And I believe that our own Cindy Carlson may have been part of this when the law was passed at the state of Idaho. So this is some of the work of our local representation.
And same comments with respect to the policy committee.
Yes.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we adopt supporting students with characteristics of dyslexia, policy number 2415.
I'll second that.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Was it Cindy Carlson or was it Carl Crabtree?
I thought it was Carl Crabtree.
Was it Carl Crabtree? I apologize. I should have known that. That's a special one then.
Series 5000, policy 5620.
Okay, so policy 5620 is safety management program and district personnel, and this is just procedures for making sure that, for instance, if you see something that's dangerous, notifying a supervisor right away, not getting into something that you shouldn't. If you don't have the appropriate training, for instance, you shouldn't use a fire extinguisher, those kinds of things.
Mr. Chairman, I
And
move
went through the policy training.
Thank you. Mr. Chairman, I move that we adopt safety management program and district personnel policy 5620.
Second?
I'll second that.
Second. Further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Now, Superintendent, if you could ask Sherry to take a look at on that one. Item 2, just a little tweaking on the formatting, just to all the trouble to make it look so pretty.
2. Oh, I see that.
Yeah. So we can
I can do that.
All right. Motion to adjourn?
That's a record.
I move that we
Good one.
adjourn.
I like
Second.
Moved in second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. So,